Hey everybody, YouTube friends, what's going on? We're gonna resume. It's the next day. We are pulling the scrap out of the car, getting all that cleaned out. We found a decent amount of non-ferrous goodies. I'm okay with what we had. I basically called it early so I can get back here and get a little rest, because I had some other things and running around I had to do today. And my trunk latch is one of them. It's getting annoying. I bent it out of shape a little bit and it's not opening with the pull lever. But we found a really good pile of this aluminum right here. Aluminum wire. I like when they roll it all up in big donuts like this. It's nice. A lot easier to deal with anyway. I think I might just lean this stuff up against the fence over here, because I'm going to sell it just the way it is. But that's like 50-60 pounds right there. We got a few of those in here. And some other stuff, some aluminum, whatever, underneath. Yesterday I explained to you guys that I was going up to a store to go get something for modification for the granulator sluice system. I didn't get to that part yet, and now it's the next day. It's going on 3 o'clock. I had to get some sleep. I'm tired of running myself ragged, really, so I'm slowing down things a little bit, tackling things one at a time, because it's getting so close to the end of the season. I can't really afford to run around like a chicken with its head cut off, you know. I can't do that. But I'm just now finding out that the axles for my travel trailer, it's going to be a problem, man. Looking everywhere for a set of axles for that trailer is being an issue. It's the length and the style of axles that they take. It's making it hard for me to be able to order new ones without spending an arm and a leg. Like 2 arms and 1 leg probably. It's not good. So I'm in a little bit, well, I ain't gonna lie, I'm in a lot more than I expected price wise. The price on these axles is a lot more than I expected, and it's got me nervous because I'm actually within a pretty tight budget right now, even though I am doing pretty good. Really good, actually. Scrap wise, I need more. Sucks. I was close to the original. I was pretty close to the original budget of what I needed for it, and now I ain't gonna lie, it almost just doubled. So that basically completely takes away from the generator fund that I've been saving for too. So in a pinch, I need money. What am I gonna do? Well, I'm gonna get up to the store and get that modification done for the sluice and get that thing ready to rock and roll, okay? And I'm gonna start chopping all wire that I have here, everything, sluice it all, get it ready for sale, and get it cashed in because I need the money. Yep. And I still have to go along with the plan of keeping the yard dang near cleaned out, because it's toward the end of the year. I'm not leaving with a bunch of stuff piled up everywhere. That's not gonna happen here. So I'm still, you know, going with that plan. It's just, it's getting toward the end of the year, okay? And I'm supposed to be more than prepared for this trip, and I gotta say, I tried my best to make sure I was 100% ready. Sometimes trying your best is not enough. And that's just the facts right there. I thought I was on track, you know, but we're not. Well, you know, some of you guys are thinking, well, you should have been taking everything, all tin shred and all, to get the money. That's not the answer either. Far from it. I'd have less money, actually, if I was to pick up everything, because I would not nearly have as much non-ferrous to deal with. I'd be trading it in for pennies on the pound. No, we're not doing that. I'm actually quite impressed with how I've done this summer for scrap. More than a fair enough wage, you know. But even that is not going to cut the cheese now, I don't think. I'm about ready to go to the dang casino and bet it all. Just for the chance of winning big. So I can take this trip with a smile on my face. Here's this monitor I said I was going to save. I don't know if I'm going to use it or not. Who knows? Might just cut the wire off and throw it right in the tin shred. Who knows? Whatever's easiest. But that's kind of the predicament, and we're gonna get around it. We're gonna be just fine. It's just, I remember what it was like last winter when I left with only 900 bucks in my pocket. Boy, was that a struggle. There were several times where I was about to lose it all and turn around and go home. But you know, life has its way of blessing you right when you need it. And I'm kind of hoping that's going to be the case right now. You know. There's another good basket of goodies. We got some good piles around we can work on and get cashed in too. I got some pop cans to turn in. Quite a few of them. There's money to be had. I just got to make the time for it. But hey, what can you do? I'm only one guy. I'm trying as hard as I can, you know, and really I can get these stators open too. I got a bucket of copper right there. I got some steel I can turn in. All this non-ferrous stuff that I brought from the last couple weeks, or from the last week, sorry. But we can turn in all this breakage stuff. These were the motors that were just not copper, obviously. We got this bucket of ballast that I keep talking about. We need to do those too. So there's things to do, money to be made. We just have to make it into money. Okay. Yes, and that involves keep scrapping. That involves scrapping. We'll get there eventually. I just don't want it to be where I'm stuck here late December with hardly any money to leave with. That was last year. It was definitely last year. But we got buckets of machine wire. Quite a few good buckets of machine wire and a bunch of BX right there, a bunch of BX up here, and a lot of other wires to be sorted out too. So I think we need to go and get what we need to modify this sluice, test it, see if it works better, and then either way, go with it, because we don't have a choice. I'm not going to sit here and hand strip, you know, 1,000 pounds of machine wire or whatever. I don't even know how much I got here, but I know there's a good bit, and we can make some quick money on it. That's the whole reason why I built that setup back there. But we're gonna get up to the store and go get what we need. This is Merchant Metals and Mason Boys at house. The ex-Mrs. Sorry, the ex-Mrs. house. Got a lot on my mind right now, and just trying to keep strong and keep with it. We don't quit here. We don't quit here. No quitting. That's my motto. No quitting until you're not moving no more. Yeah. All right, to the store. Without saying anything too much further right now at this time, this was the idea that I had in my head to help increase separation of materials for when I start granulating that wire. You know, and it's actually something I think is going to work. Okay, what you see is basically I have zip tied and built a little arm right here for a pressure washer handle. Now I have a big water trash pump right here to recirculate the main amount of water to create the sluicing. But the problem I was having is, as I was dumping material out this window, there wasn't I mean, I'm not saying that there wasn't enough, but I'm saying there could be an improved amount of separation right as the material gets dumped out. The pressure washer is to provide like agitation, I guess you could say. When the material hits with the pressure washer on and then this pumping water, it's going to create hopefully a good agitation and a possible increase in speed of material. What I am hoping to see here is, as that material gets dumped downward, it's going to hit this first, okay? This jet water mist, I guess you could say. I'm hoping that when the material hits this, that the plastic insulation would move farther and faster away from the copper, as the copper is going to go straight into the water and kind of sink down because of its density and size. So I'm hoping that this is going to help move the plastic material that's coming from this. And if I can get that material to move faster and farther, leaving the copper more cleaner. Because that's one thing is that if I dump too much material at once, it'll potentially start to build up, trapping plastic and insulation. So this is hopefully going to increase my ability to separate the material faster. And basically what I've got here is like the cheapest pressure washer I could find within my distance. It was like $79. I figured it was worth a gamble to try this and see if that works. This is going to keep a drip fed amount of water running through the sluice. So basically, if I do have any water spillage down the line, this will keep it replenished anyways. So it's basically serving two purposes. I'm slowly adding water, which keeps the water speed that the trash pump down there is pumping. It helps keep it stable, basically like a stable flow, and hopefully it will serve its purpose to move plastic material faster and farther away from the copper that builds up kind of right in here, this area, in which I'll just retrieve with a scoop. You know, the copper material, my goal is to be able to have just the water current alone and all for the copper to travel just past the corner of the shop right there, where I'll be standing ready to collect the copper. And I'm hoping the plastic material will already be going right down into where the catch is, kind of right over top of the water supply onto a window screen that I just basically rake off into a bucket, and that's going to be my waste plastic material. But this is my aim, to improve this setup as best as I can with what I have and see if that works. So I'm going to go cut this water on, and I think we're going to test out the water sluice, because I got like 5 or 6 buckets that I chopped from last year that is just still sitting there. It's ready to sluice. So we're going to do that, and we're going to see if this works well or not, or whatever, right? That's my goal. So, or if it even improves, or I can tell if there's a good difference or not. I think it's going to work. I think it's going to really help, because that material is going to hit this first, and from what I hope is that this is angled down enough to where it's not going to blast all the copper and plastic and material all over the place like crazy. If that happens, I might have to adjust the tip on this. I need like a turbo mist spray, not like a direct current, like where you can strip paint off or something with. I don't want none of that. It needs to be like yeah, I don't know. I think of weird things sometimes, but I think this might actually help. We're gonna try it, but we're gonna fire this up and see how it does. We got material ready to dump out the window. We got our little invention idea hooked up there. I actually, I'm just trying to think and go about the ways that I could most cheaply modify, you know, this idea and make it any better if I can. And here's another idea right here, is I got my air compressor. If there's still dirty material inside of my copper that I'm trying to pan out, I'm thinking shove this air nozzle down in there and try to wash out the plastic that's along with the current. That's going with the water current anyways. And between the pressure washer trick and this air, I figured those would be the 2 cheapest. More water, more air. Those are the cheapest things I can come up with. So yeah, all right. So hypothetically, maybe I'll edit that out, but basically what we got going on in here is that I'm going to be bringing in the wire, all in baskets, and we're going to feed wire into this machine. It's going to chop up and end up down there. We're going to pull our baskets out and dump it right out the window into our sluice, and then hopefully come over here and look down into the sluice and see a bunch of nice, perfectly clean copper. That's what I want to see. And then if not, we got another weapon right here to add air and try to blow plastic material away from the copper, because that's what's gonna take off first before the copper itself. It's like that material is lighter, and I am trying to negotiate it more with water and air, pretty much. And all the plastic material is gonna wash through, and it's gonna wash around this right here. This kind of works like a choke. It's basically, I don't know what this is, like a metal mesh ring, and then there's a magnet behind it so I can adjust it however I want. If I want more water flow, or I want more material to pass by into the screen, which would basically be raked off into this bucket, that's going to be the plastic waste down there. I could, based on how everything's running, I can negotiate how much water comes in and out after this process right here. Yeah. Okay. So that's what we have going on. And I'm going to cut the water on and make sure this pressure washer works good. So when I dump this material out, it is going to be accelerated down the chute. I kind of tried it already just to see how successful it is, and holy crap, dude, it speeds up the water about twice as fast, and lots of agitation, kind of like exactly how I wanted. So basically that pressure washer is rigged to a switch in there. When I go and dump material out, I turn this on, and it should help accelerate the separation. And then the water is sort of builds up halfway down the chute and starts to slow down. That's where I'm going to be pulling the clean copper out of. And if it's not clean, I have an air hose hooked up to my air compressor right there. I'm going to try to use air and negotiate the rest of the insulation, if there is any, out of the pile of copper. And we're going to see how that works out. Because using the air hose and this pressure washer, the two upgrades I was talking about, it's a cheap way to upgrade it. I understand, yeah, water and air, it's the cheapest things I could think of. So we're gonna go and turn this pump on, and we're gonna do our test bucket of dumping the first bucket of material down in. I got a bunch of stuff that should be processed already, so it's stuff that I did last winter and I didn't sluice it because everything froze over. Stuff that just washed down here and built up. See, the copper stays on this side. That's a good thing about having this choke right here, or you can dictate how much water is here at the end from here to there, because everything from here and up, it's like a water jet. You guys will see what I'm talking about, and that's going to be awesome for separation. I think it's going to take the insulation farther and faster than the copper right off the get when I dump it out. And yeah, everything's basically set up here to do what we need to do. So I got that camera up there rolling, I'm rolling. Let's get rolling. Yeah. Okay, this is the new trash pump. Is it on? It's on. Now I have it set up to where it just has to run it idle for a good flow. Like, that's pretty good flow, right? But watch and wait and see when I start up the pressure washer. You'll see. I'm gonna turn it on. Check this out. Look at that big old ripple effect down there. I'm going to turn it off. It kind of normalizes. Turn that on. Look at how much faster the water speeds up. That's insane. Not insane, just really smart, I think. But show you guys a view from this side. We're gonna see what happens. I'm hoping to see a lot of insulation down by the end of the choke, and then I'll open it up and release that, or let it through the screen anyway. I don't really see any loss of copper. It's all going right in as planned. Usually we dump a whole bucket like that. That's quite a bit of weight inside one of those when it's all granulated. See, we're backed up a little bit. I gotta open that choke up and let all this insulation out. Look at all that insulation right there. See it all build up on the end? Okay. There is no copper in any of that right there. That is all insulation. Even that is. See, there's no copper in that. See? That's beautiful. This pressure washer is creating a lot. It's creating a force right here. All this stuff right here is all insulation basically. All our copper is about at the halfway point. I dumped the whole, basically dumped the whole bucket out. But I'm gonna grab this rake and I'm gonna rake that batch of copper right there that did not come down the sluice into this area, and then we're gonna check it out. Now this is material that I did last year. I can't quite remember. It was so late in the year that I was scrambling just to get out of here. I can come over here and shut the pressure washer off now. It'll create less ripples and stuff, so you can kind of see your work a little bit more. But yeah, I grabbed my rake and we're going to check this out. There's no copper in there. That is all insulation, this whole thing. We just rake it right into a bucket. And we're ready for another batch. You can dump another bucket in there now. There's my scooper. Now I need to find a bucket real quick. Something to scoop it into. That's what we need. Need a bucket. Anything empty? No. How about this? That's not too bad. Yeah. This is just a test. And I think it passed with flying colors, man. bad. Look at that. There's a piece right there. That wire did not process fully. See that? That was the granulator's fault. See, that's an unprocessed piece right there. That isn't. That's actually a piece of plastic. So guys, I can't really say that it sluices this stuff perfect. Look, that's a granulator fault right there. That didn't even go in the granulator. I can't recall the last stuff that I processed, but that stuff was unprocessed. So that's not the sluice's fault, per se. Because I could understand why a piece of copper with plastic on it still would get caught. See that? Because it's got the density and it goes down with the copper. So I gotta figure out why we're not chopping at best capacity here. You know, I got this idea to where, like, you guys seen it firsthand. I dumped a bucket of this out with the plastic material in it and everything, and I would probably say, well, what, 96, 97, maybe even 99% of that came out clean. Look at how quickly it's separated. So we have a couple pieces here and there that are not clean, see? Like that piece that has copper in it still. So this is a copper chopper problem right here. But for the most part, I see pretty clean copper right there. Look, there's a couple pieces here and there. See, we can't have that. The only other thing that I could think of, see, that's got copper in it right there too. This machine needs to chop all the wire. I can get a screen down here that has a smaller diameter size, but it will take longer, like way longer, if I downsize the diameter of my screen down here. I don't think I want to do that. But what I'm saying here is, like, well, what if I run it through twice? Like, just hear me out. Okay, so what if I chop the material, like the stuff that I just dumped out that window, to get it clean enough to this extent right here? Okay, throw it on a drying rack or something, because we'll be coming back to it like the next day or whatever. Wait till this stuff is dry, and then take it back and run it through the granulator again, because that's a lot of material that it has to remove from this copper. Okay, now what if we run it through again? Do you think it would take out those few chunks that we're picking out here and there that have not been ran? You know what I mean? Like this stuff. I can't sell this if I have plastic chunks in it still. That's the biggest problem. And from what I see here is that there's almost too many of them to pick out. That's where I'm at right now. If I spread this out, well, to be honest with you, that all looks nice and clean. Besides this piece right here, I'm gonna count up how many chunks out of this batch is dirty. You know what I mean? How many chunks per bucket is it missing? Because I would like to find the accuracy of how clean it made the copper after sluicing it one time. But see, I'm pulling out stuff that the granulator should have took out or took care of. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, look, that's bare bright copper. Should go in as it. It looks beautiful to me, right? But see, I got this chunk right here. And there's another chunk with plastic still on it. So I think there's probably 20 pieces right there that I had to pull out by hand. But after I did that, this stuff looks great. You would think Bare Bright would be would be what they would give me for it. Look. That's not that bad. I mean, I don't think it is. I know this video was kind of slow, but I just wanted to kind of show you guys the differences between that pressure washer attachment that I put on there. And I think we're doing good. See, we're overflowing right now because that thing's running because the handle zip tied open. Yeah, that's good, clean looking stuff to me. So, hypothetically, if they try to shoot me down for having a little chunk of plastic here and there in this stuff, and they try to give me a lower grade piece, because I understand I can't have this plastic in there like that. I get that. No matter how close I come to clean as it comes out the first run, I can't have that plastic on there. They will tell me about it. If I go there trying to sell them Bare Bright copper clean, I can't have 20 pieces of plastic in it out of a whole bucket. You know what I mean? Because they could still shoot me down. So what if I do that? So what if I... Okay, check this out. Let's gather up all this right here. Okay. Here's the copper that we just sluiced. It does look really nice. I mean, to me it does. What do you guys think? But what if we did this, okay? What if we dumped it out right here? Alright. We dump it out, look at the water, we drain the water out. Maybe even let it sit there so it really drains well. All the little 20, 30 little plastic pieces that my granulator and sluice does not get out. What if we dry that out and then re-chop it again? How long would it take? Because we're not processing this whole freaking bucket of plastic over again. That stuff's done. This separates like probably 99.5% clean up until your last 20, 30 little plastic pieces that somehow get past the granulator. See that? So what if we were to dump it over here, let it dry out, right? Throw this back in a bucket and dump it down the granulator again. What do you guys think? Because this part of the system is working excellent. There is absolutely no copper in any of that. This is just all straight up insulation, which is proving to me that that pressure washer is freaking working good. It sends the material, the copper and the plastic, it sends them at different speeds. The plastic and insulation moves way faster than the copper. The copper ended up stopping right around up here, remember? All the insulation was way down here choked up on our choke valve thing. It's not really a choke valve, it's just something that I can open and close to let the plastic by. And for it to come out as clean as it did, to have only about that much dirty in the whole bucket itself, why don't we just re-chop it? I think the machine would chop this way faster than it were to be if it had insulation on it all over again. See? Like, there's another piece right there. Why don't we give the machine a second chance at getting this stuff? Because what I'm thinking is, since it was able to literally separate 99.5% of all of that material, now that all of that crap is out of the way, how hard would it be to find that much within that, right? Would it get it to the point where I could only pick out maybe 4 or 5 little chunks instead of 20 or 30? Because if that's the case, I'd take that all day long. But I don't feel like sitting here to pick out 15, 20 little pieces. Because this recovery rate on this system here, it's not bad. It is not bad for just chopping it once and dumping it out. So what if we do that from now on? Is that we sluice it once, we take it over to our drying rack, let it dry out, and then throw this stuff back through the granulator and re-chop it until every little piece of plastic is freed up from its copper. See? And then re-sluice it, and then it should sluice. It should chop and sluice twice as fast after doing it the first time, getting the massed majority of the shreds up out of there. Because face it alone, I mean, the granulator and then the sluice made it to where there's only this much in each bucket dirty. That's good enough for me. That makes me happy. But what makes me unhappy is that there's that much dirty, right? So a couple things to think about. I mean, if there's anybody in the comments that kind of understand what I'm talking about, like, is there any way to get around that so I can get that last 0.5% covered, so we get 100% clean coming out the sluice? Because, well, I don't want anybody complaining that there's, look, another piece with plastic on it. Even though it's just such a minute, small amount, it still doesn't make it bare bright because it's got that in there. That's why I'm really serious about sorting out my machine wires, because I only want to go through it once, because it goes straight to the granulator. But this is good stuff. It's good weight. Once it comes out of the sluice like this, we're gonna lay it on this right here and let it drip dry, and then cycle it back through our granulator to try to weave out the rest of the 20-30 little pieces. And I am definitely assuming that it's gonna go a lot faster, because there's you know, 95 point whatever percent insulation not there to go through anymore. So maybe my granulator will find this stuff much quicker. This stuff bypassed through the screen and did not chop. I'm beginning to think that my blades might be bad on the granulator, which they were pretty rough to begin with, but I put a good sharpening on them and I did it the right way. You're only supposed to sharpen them one side only. Yep. But that's all we had for dirty in that first bucket. We're gonna do this a couple more times and fill this mat up and let it dry. Okay. And then we're gonna rerun that material and see if there's a difference. See if we can get these chunks out of there. So basically anything that comes out the end of that sluice without overworking it too much in this area, okay, I will be dumping over there, and we're going to run it again to see if we can get this stuff out and how long it takes to re-chop it and sluice it. Sounds like a game plan to me. But we're gonna fire this up one more time and do a few more buckets and fill that pan up, and we'll use that as an example and see if we re-chop that and sluice it again, how clean is it? Will it get it to 99.99% clean? Because then I would try to sell that as bare bright all day long. I mean, as this stuff sits, that's not bad at all. It's just the little pieces that I pulled out earlier in that video. That's what we want. That's what we want to perfect. And using that, making that pressure washer setup right there for dumping the material down in, I was hoping it would help that, but it's not going to help it if the plastic is still on the copper. So running the machine in that same material twice, could that be beneficial? Is that an answer? Or do we need to figure something out? Or do we need to modify the granulator? I don't have time for that part this year, but we're going to try to use what we got now, obviously. Sluice is running. And that's at the lowest idle on that trash pump, the lowest idle possible, so it burns less fuel. We could turn that thing up and really get this thing raging, but I don't see the point in it. Then we got this pressure washer here. Okay. That's now on. Look at that flow, man. It's got flow. It's good flow. Oh yeah. See how it ripples right at the corner of the shop right here? That is good flow. To be over here somehow. Like right here. That's pretty ballsy. Sitting next to all the water, but alright, before that falls, I'm gonna go dump some in.
so long in construction that I forgot I had a dream. Didn't know where I was going, didn't like where I had been. So one day I gave it all up when my eyes were open wide. I packed my life into my truck with Mason Boy by my side. I kept driving, but I had to make ends meet. I started thriving by scrapping industry, dumpster diving, and street scrapping throughout America. From Michigan to Ohio, down to Florida. Merchant metals, recycle, don't destroy. Merchant metals and my dog Mason Boy. Merchant metals, thank you for stopping by. Please subscribe to my channel, leave a thumbs up and say hi. Bought myself a trailer, so when I'm on the road, I have a rolling workshop and can scrap a heavy load. When it feels like life is hard, I know just what to do. I hit the road and recycle scrap and make my dreams come true. I kept driving, but I had to make ends meet. I started thriving by scrapping in the street, dumpster diving, street scrapping throughout America. From Michigan to Ohio, down to Florida. Merchant metals, recycle, don't destroy. Merchant metals, my dog Mason Boy. Merchant metals, thank you for stopping by. Please subscribe to my channel, leave a thumbs up and say hi. Merchant metals, recycle, don't destroy. Merchant metals and my dog Mason Boy. Merchant metals, thank you for stopping by. Please subscribe to my channel, leave a thumbs up and say hi.